November 24th, 1943. Algiers, North Africa. General Dwight D. Eisenhower sits at his desk in Allied headquarters, reading casualty reports from the Italian campaign. The numbers are staggering. Every page represents men who won't. He's exhausted. Months of planning the invasion of Italy, coordinating with the British, managing Roosevelt and Churchill's competing visions for the war. His aide, Commander Harry Butcher, walks into the office holding a stack of newspapers. American papers, just arrived by diplomatic pouch. Butcher's face is pale. "Sir, you need to see these." The Patton story broke states. Drew Pearson went public on his radio broadcast 3 days ago. He takes the first newspaper. The headline screams across the front page: General Patton strikes soldier in hospital. His face goes white. The incident he'd kept secret for 3 months. The incident he'd buried, contained, and managed through personal reprimands and forced apologies. Patton slapping 2 hospitalized soldiers in Sicily. It's now front-page news across America. And according to Butcher's message log, General George S. Patton himself arrived at headquarters 20 minutes ago, unannounced, waiting outside. If you want to see how one moment of leadership changed the course of World War II, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. This is WW2 War Files, where we bring you the untold stories of history's greatest conflict. And, trust me, you won't believe what happens next. Eisenhower opens his personal file on the Patton incidents. 2 official reports. August 3rd, 1943. 15th Evacuation Hospital, Sicily. General George S. Patton visits wounded soldiers. When he encounters Private Charles Cool, diagnosed with combat exhaustion, Patton slaps him across the face with his gloves and calls him a yellow-bellied coward. Medical officers witness the entire episode. 1 week later, August 10th. 93rd Evacuation Hospital. Patton visits again. Private Paul Bennett, also diagnosed with. Patton slaps him. Then he draws his ivory-handled pistol and threatens to shoot him right there in the hospital tent. Eisenhower had received the reports on August 17th. He'd written Patton a 7-page letter of reprimand, never filed officially. He'd ordered Patton to personally apologize to both soldiers, to the medical staff present, and to every unit of the 7th Army. Patton had stood in front of division after division offering his apologies. Humiliating. But Eisenhower thought it was contained. 3 months. He'd given Patton 3 months to prove himself indispensable. The Sicily campaign. 30 days, 113 miles. Patton beat British General Montgomery to Messina. That bought him time. That showed he was worth keeping. Now this. Butcher stands by the door. "How many papers?" Eisenhower asks. "All of them, sir. New York Times, Washington Post, Chicago Tribune, every major city." Pearson's broadcast reached 20 million people. Eisenhower picks up the phone. It's been ringing non-stop since the papers arrived. Washington, General George Marshall. Senators. The Secretary of War. Marshall called it the most damaging scandal of the war. Eisenhower says quietly. "He wants to know if I can defend keeping Patton in command." Butcher doesn't answer immediately. Then, "Can you, sir?" Eisenhower stares at the newspapers spread across his desk. 3 months of secrecy, gone. The political fallout is going to be catastrophic. Congress will demand answers. The press will question his judgment. Roosevelt will need to respond to public. "I don't know yet," Eisenhower finally says. "But Patton's outside. He arrived 20 minutes ago. Unannounced." And what Patton said when he walked through that door would force Eisenhower to make the. General George S. Patton walks in without waiting to be called. He's in full dress uniform, perfectly pressed. His ivory-handled pistols on his belt, ramrod straight. He stops in front of Eisenhower's desk and delivers a crisp salute. "Sir," he places a handwritten letter on the desk. Eisenhower doesn't need to open it to know what it is. But he recognizes Patton's handwriting on the envelope. His resignation. From the United States Army. Eisenhower doesn't touch the letter. He looks up at Patton. "George, sit down." "I prefer to stand, sir." Patton's voice is formal, controlled. "I've embarrassed you. I've embarrassed the Army. And I've embarrassed my country. The honorable course is clear. I didn't ask for your resignation." "You shouldn't have to ask, Ike." Patton's jaw tightens. "You kept this quiet for 3 months. You gave me a chance to prove myself. I took Sicily. I did everything you asked. And now I've repaid you by becoming a national scandal. My actions." Eisenhower pushes the letter back across the desk. It slides to a stop in front of Patton. "Do you regret it? What you did in those hospitals?" Patton hesitates. For just a moment, the rigid military bearing cracks. Then he answers, "I regret the embarrassment to you, sir. As for the men," he pauses. "I regret how I handled it, not why. We were losing men to combat exhaustion faster than to German bullets. Someone had to put a stop to it. By slapping sick men?" Eisenhower's voice is cold. "By drawing your pistol in a hospital tent? By showing the entire 7th Army that we don't quit? Sir, after I made those apologies you ordered, after I stood in front of every division and regiment, you know what happened? Combat exhaustion cases dropped 80%. The men fought hot. We took Sicily in record time." Eisenhower He walks to the map of Europe on his wall. France, the coastline, the invasion that's coming. And now Congress wants your head. The Secretary of War wants your head. Half the country wants your head. He turns back to Patton. "Do you know what Marshall said to me this morning? Ike, if you can't justify keeping him, you have to let him go." Patton's face is stone, but his voice is quiet when he speaks. "Then let me go, Ike. Don't let my mistake ruin what you're going to command the invasion of Europe. I won't be the anchor around your neck. Sit down, George." This time, Patton sits. Eisenhower returns to his desk. He picks up the resignation letter, holds it, studies it. "Do you know why I didn't relieve you in August? Why I buried this for 3 months? You said I was too valuable to lose. Because when we invade France, and we will invade France, I need a commander who the Germans fear. Not respect, fear." Eisenhower's eyes are fixed on Patton. There's only one name that makes them reinforce the wrong beaches. That makes them hold back their panzer divisions expecting your attack. "You're a son of a bitch, George, but you're my son of a bitch." Patton doesn't respond. "But I need to know right now, can you control yourself? Because if I keep you, if I spend my credibility defending you, and you do this again, we both go down." Patton meets his eyes. "I can do it, Ike, whatever you need for France." Eisenhower picks up the resignation letter. He tears it in half, then in half again. "Get out of my office and stay out of hospitals." Patton stands, salutes, turns to leave. "And George," Eisenhower's voice stops him, "I need you, but I need you controlled." Patton nods once, then he's gone. Eisenhower thought he'd just saved Patton's career. What he didn't know yet was that he'd just set in motion the most successful military deception in history. Within 48 hours, Eisenhower faces the consequences. Senator Robert Reynolds of North Carolina takes to the Senate floor. His speech is scathing. "No general, regardless of his victories, should be above military justice. General Patton must face court-martial for his actions." The Senate Military Affairs Committee announces formal hearings. Secretary of War Henry Stimson sends a cable directly to Eisenhower's headquarters. "You must provide written justification for retaining General Patton." The president needs answers. Eisenhower drafts his response. He cites Patton's record: Sicily, North Africa, his ability to move troops faster than any commander in the European theater, his tactical brilliance. He sends the cable to Washington and waits. December 1st, 1943. The call comes from General George Marshall, Eisenhower's boss, the most powerful military figure in America, Chief of Staff of the United States Army. When Marshall speaks, it's an order. "Ike, you need to relieve him." Marshall's voice is firm. "I've defended you to Congress, to the president, to the press. They're not backing down. Keeping Patton is becoming a political liability that threatens your appointment to Overlord." Overlord, the code name for the invasion of Europe, the biggest military operation in human history. Eisenhower has just been informally selected to command it, but the appointment isn't official yet, and Marshall is telling him that defending Patton could cost him D-Day. "General, I understand the political situation," Eisenhower says carefully, "but I need him for the invasion. You're going to have 150,000 men on those beaches." Marshall replies, "You'll have Bradley, Montgomery. You don't need Patton. The Germans need to believe I have Patton." There's a pause on the line. "Explain that," Marshall says. "I will, sir, but I need more time. Can you hold off Congress for 2 more weeks?" Another pause. Then, 2 weeks, Ike. Then this decision comes out of your hands." The line goes dead. But Eisenhower hadn't told Patton the real reason he was keeping him. And when Patton learned the truth, he would realize this was never about forgiveness. December 10th, the political chaos reaches its peak. 25 members of Congress sent a joint letter demanding Patton's immediate dismissal. The press discovers that Eisenhower knew about the slappings back in August, but he covered them up for 3 months. New headline: Ike buried Patton scandal for months. Now it's not just Patton under investigation, it's Eisenhower himself. His press officer, Commander Butcher, brings him the morning papers. "Sir, they're questioning your judgment. Some columnists are saying you're unfit for higher command." Eisenhower reads the editorials. They're brutal. Eisenhower's protection of Patton reveals a dangerous blind spot. Can we trust a commander who covers up misconduct? The general who saved Patton may have doomed his own career. Meanwhile, in Sicily, Patton sits alone in his quarters. He's effectively in exile. No combat command. No responsibilities beyond administrative duties. He writes in his diary that night, "I have ruined Ike. The man who saved my career may lose his because of me. I should have stayed resigned." But while Congress was demanding Patton's court-martial, Adolf Hitler's intelligence chief was about to make a discovery that would change everything. January 1944, Eisenhower is officially appointed Supreme Commander of Allied forces in Europe. His first major strategic decision is Operation Fortitude, the deception plan for D-Day. The problem is simple but massive. The Allies are going to invade France. The Germans know and invade. What the Germans don't know is where. Eisenhower needs them to believe the invasion will hit Pas-de-Calais, the narrowest point of the English Channel, 150 miles north of the actual target, Normandy. To sell this lie, Eisenhower needs a phantom army. First, FUSAG, a completely fake invasion force, 11 divisions that exist only on paper. Inflatable tanks, fake radio traffic, dummy landing craft lined up along the southeastern England, an entire ghost army. And this ghost army needs not just any commander. It needs a commander that the Germans would believe could lead the main invasion. A commander whose reputation is so fearsome, but Hitler himself would divert entire panzer divisions to stop him. German intelligence intercepts Allied communications. Radio chatter mentioning General Patton and First Army Group. Their reconnaissance planes photograph southeastern England. They see massive buildups of tanks, landing craft, supply depots. What they don't realize is that it's plywood and rubber. A German High Command intelligence report, dated January 28, 1944, states, General George Patton has been assigned command of 1st U.S. Army Group opposite Pas-de-Calais. This represents the most dangerous concentration of Allied force. Patton's aggressive character and proven record in North Africa and Sicily suggest the Calais sector is the primary invasion target. Adolf Hitler receives the report. He turns to his staff. Where is Patton? That is where they will attack. Field Marshal Erwin Rommel, now responsible for defending the Atlantic Wall, reviews the intelligence. He tells his officers, Patton will not land where we expect. He will land where we are weakest. We must strengthen Calais immediately. A German intelligence officer writes in his assessment, Patton is America's best attack general. They would not waste him on a diversion. Wherever Patton goes, that is the Schwerpunkt, the main effort. By March 1944, the Germans have committed 19 divisions to defend Pas-de-Calais. 19 divisions, over 200,000 men, hundreds of tanks, all positioned 150 miles away from where the Allies are actually going to land. And Patton, the general who nearly destroyed his career by slapping 2 soldiers, has become the centerpiece of the most successful military deception in history. He's not commanding anything real. He's commanding plywood tanks and rubber airplanes. And the Germans are buying it completely. Eisenhower tells his staff in March, Patton is the best actor in the entire European theater. The Germans think he's leading an army. He's leading a theater production, and they're buying front-row tickets. And what the Germans learned in January 1944 would prove Eisenhower right. Patton had become the most valuable weapon the Allies possessed, without firing a single shot. April 25, 1944, 6 weeks before D-Day, Eisenhower's headquarters, London. Patton is summoned. He's been commanding FUSAG for 3 months now, making public appearances in southeastern England, giving speeches to dummy divisions, being photographed inspecting inflatable tanks, all to maintain the illusion. But he still doesn't fully understand why Eisenhower kept him after the slapping scandal. He walks into Eisenhower's office. This time, he's invited. Ike, I need to know. Patton's voice is direct. When do I get a real command? I'm grateful for FUSAG, but it's a stage play. When do I get back to the war? Eisenhower looks at him carefully. Outside the window, London is preparing for invasion. convoys, troops, the largest military build-up in human history. George, do you know why I kept you? Why I tore up your resignation? I did need you. Eisenhower stands, walks to the map of France on the wall, but not the way you thought. Patton is confused. I don't understand. When you walked into my office in November and offered to resign, do you know what I saw? Eisenhower turns to face him. I saw the one man Hitler fears more than anyone else. I saw the one name that makes German intelligence lose sleep. I saw the one general who could make Hitler defend the wrong beaches. The wrong beaches? Eisenhower points to the map. We're not landing at Calais, George. We never were. Normandy, June 5th. His finger moves to Normandy. And while we hit Normandy with everything we have, you're going to stand in southeast England commanding an army that doesn't exist. And Hitler is going to keep 19 divisions at Calais, waiting for you. Patton stares at the map. Silent. You wanted to know why I kept you? Because your scandal made you perfect. The Germans think you're in disgrace, that you're desperate to redeem yourself. So when we put you in command of FUSAG, they believed it was your punishment assignment and your comeback. They believe you're going to lead the invasion to restore your reputation. And because they believe that, they've put their best divisions exactly where we need them, 150 miles away from Normandy. You're using me as bait, Patton says quietly. I'm using you as a weapon, the most effective weapon we have. Eisenhower returns to his desk. You haven't fired a shot, George, and you've already tied down more German divisions than any actual combat. Then, quietly, when do I get a real command? After D-Day. After we've secured the beachhead. After Hitler realizes he's been watching the wrong army. Eisenhower meets his eyes. Then I'm giving you Third Army, and I'm turning you loose across France. But first, I need you to keep playing the role. Can you do that? Patton stands to leave. He stops at the door. I offered you my resignation because I thought I'd destroyed my career. You're telling me I saved the invasion? Eisenhower picks up a report from his desk. German force dispositions. 19 divisions at Calais because of Patton. George, I need you. Not in spite of what happened in Sicily. Because of it. Your reputation, both as a fighter and as a problem, makes you credible. The Germans think you're dangerous and desperate. That combination makes them believe anything we want them to believe. So yes, I need you, but I need you exactly where you are. Patton nods slowly. For the first time since November, he understands. Eisenhower hadn't saved him out of loyalty. He'd saved him because the slapping scandal made him more valuable, not less. A disgraced general seeking redemption was exactly the story the Germans would believe. Eisenhower had turned Patton's career-ending mistake into the cornerstone of D-Day deception. June 6, 1944, D-Day. While 156,000 Allied soldiers storm the beaches of Normandy, Patton remains in England, commanding FUSAG, making appearances, giving speeches, maintaining the illusion. And it works. The Germans keep 19 divisions at Pas-de-Calais for 7 weeks after D-Day. 7 weeks. They're still waiting for Patton's main attack, waiting for the real invasion. Hitler refuses to release those divisions to reinforce Normandy because he believes Patton is coming. By the time Hitler realizes he's been deceived, the Allies have secured the beachhead, July 28, 1944. Patton finally receives his combat command, Third Army, and Eisenhower keeps his promise. He turns Patton loose across France. What happens next is military history. Third Army breaks out of Normandy and advances 600 miles in 6 months. From Normandy to the German border, Third Army liberates 12,000 square miles of territory, captures 800,000 German prisoners, advances faster and farther than any army in military history. All because Eisenhower said, "I need you," instead of, "You're fired." The slapping incident revealed everything about both men. Patton's fatal flaw, his inability to control his temper, nearly destroyed him, but Eisenhower's genius was seeing that flaws can be weapons if you deploy them correctly. He didn't save Patton despite his scandal. He weaponized the scandal itself. Years later, military historians would conclude that Operation Fortitude, the deception plan centered on Patton, was as crucial to Allied victory as the Normandy invasion itself. The Phantom Army kept real German divisions paralyzed at the wrong location during the most critical weeks of the war. Eisenhower wrote in his memoir Crusade in Europe, published in 1948, Patton's value to the Allied cause was incalculable. His reputation among the Germans was our greatest deception asset. When I kept him in command despite the slapping incidents, I was not being lenient. I was being ruthless, because I knew we could use him in ways he didn't yet understand. And the soldier Patton slapped? Private Paul Bennett, 21 years old, from South Carolina. He returned to combat duty, fought through France with the 17th Airborne Division. He was awarded the Bronze Star for valor. After the war, reporters asked him about the slapping incident. Bennett told them, "I don't hold any grudges. Patton was trying to win a war. So was I. We both did our jobs. The general who slapped him had saved his own career by offering to end it, and in doing so, he became the ghost that haunted Hitler's nightmares." If this story showed you a side of World War II history you've never seen before, do me a favor. Hit that like button, subscribe to WW2 War Files, and drop a comment telling me what untold story you want to hear next. Because there are thousands more stories like this one waiting to be told. And I'll see you in the next one.